happy Memorial Day. Hope you're having a nice, meaningful Memorial Day. We understand.
Yeah, that's the Memorial Day weekend. I just that's for a lot of you, it's probably a three day weekend.
And you're out there celebrating with loved ones and remembering all the ones maybe in your family or friends that have passed away serving our country for us civilians to have a life so we can do recordings like this or so we can watch sports.
Yeah, I just a big salute to all of the soldiers out there, and I said if you're out there fighting, I said we wholeheartedly salute you.
Thank you very much. In saying that, coming up this week, what is it, Jay?
I said all right. Well, I said let's segue on into our little show. All right. I said this week, coming up, the 2019 NBA Finals are set, and we got our two participants down to the final two, representing the Eastern Conference, first time in franchise history, the Toronto Raptors. This is their 24th season overall in the NBA. So they're a relatively young franchise, but they finally broke through and got to the finals for the first time. Representing the Western Conference for the unprecedented fifth year in a row, Golden State.
Which we are not we're not promoting Golden State. I won this little banner at a theme park that I went to, and let me get it all in there. I won that little banner playing a basketball game, and so I thought I just hung it up because they're in the finals. But yeah, I do think it's a very interesting finals. Oh, by the way,
it is.
This is Sports Talk with Jay and Local John. I forgot to say this at the very beginning. No big deal. I'll put it in the title at the bottom.
Well, I mean, we've done this plenty of times. They should know
Some
who we
will
are
know
by now.
If not, I'll put
Some
it
of them, it's all right. Okay, and I see. Well, anyway, I see. The Warriors are in for the fifth year in a row. The first team since the Celtics, late 50s, early 60s to make 5 straight finals.
Right.
Well, honestly, this. Well, to me, this is going to be a pretty, interesting series. I just see, of course, they played twice during the regular season. Toronto won both meetings. But, I mean, this series, is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, you got Toronto, first-time participant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because, honestly, Toronto, I guess, for like the last 3 or 4 years, maybe, they've kind of been like one of the
hovering around.
They've been hovering around the top of the Eastern Conference, but just wasn't able to break through that wall.
Did Kawhi deal with some injuries too?
Yeah, I just he did for a little bit, but I mean, even before Kawhi got to Toronto, I mean, the Raptors.
Was it DeRozan?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah,
the back. I mean, Toronto was hovering around the top of that Eastern Conference for a while, but couldn't break through. Thanks to the wall that was LeBron in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But now that LeBron's gone,
and he's been home all playoff long.
Yeah, I say so. The Raptors finally broke through. They're in the finals, first time ever. Great job.
Okay, so who will win? Let's get, because I think I know who you're going to say, and I know who I'm going to say. I think it's the same people, so it's not going to be much of a debate or really much of a conversation. So who do you think will win?
Well, I know it's going to be an entertaining series, but probably at the end of the day, I'll probably have to go with Golden State.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
I think this series may, at most, may go to 6. Because Golden State, they've been playing great, they've had injuries, two of their big stars basically playing throughout. I mean, they haven't had DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, Cousins injured himself, I think it was in Game 1 of the first round series with the Clippers.
Exactly.
And Durant injured himself, in the Western Conference semifinals.
And then Iguodala injured himself in the Western Conference Finals.
And Andre Iguodala injured himself.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything on Iguodala. I do know that it seems like Boogie and Durant, which Boogie is also known as DeMarcus Cousins, will not play the first 2 games. That's what I'm hearing. Now, if Golden State would go out there and lay an egg the first game, yeah, you probably see them put on some clothes and play a little bit of the second game. But I think if everything goes to plan, they'll win their first 2, And I think they roll the dice once and see if they can sneak a game in Toronto and get a victory. And if they can, then they may not even bring them back at all. But if they lose 2 at Toronto, best believe Durant and Cousins, I believe, will be back for Game 5 for sure. But I think they're back for Game 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, because because this is the first time, Golden State's made 5 straight finals. And this is the first time during those 5 that Golden State won't have home court advantage. Games 1 and 2 are Thursday and Sunday in Toronto. So,
right.
Of course, the thing with Golden State, we know about all the firepower they got. But one thing I got to give the Warriors credit for, I said the bench has stepped up in a big way.
Yeah, I think that might be another problem for the Raptors. It's just too much.
I say the bench, has stepped up. Looney, McKinney, all the bench players Golden State has. I say they've stepped up. It also didn't help that Steph Curry has been on the scoring spree.
He's had to pick it up because Durant.
I said he's had to pick up a little bit of the scoring load,
and he did. He answered the bell. He got up and he did it right.
Honestly, yes. Same for Klay Thompson.
Right.
Just.
Did you hear about Klay Thompson being snubbed and not making the NBA all-team? He didn't make the first, second, or third team.
Honestly, not making the third team. And I'm thinking to myself, okay.
Who was the guy they asked him in an interview? Did you know he made it? And he was just like, whatever. Oh, it was Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker made NBA all NBA third team. And Klay Thompson couldn't even make the third all-NBA team.
Okay, now, and for a little bit I was thinking to myself, okay. Honestly, I think it's been a few times this year Klay Thompson has thrown up. I know Kemba Walker's probably thrown up 50 points too, but
and losing efforts. Not that matters. Are we?
Well, I was just
it's like the top 15 players this year, and they're saying Kemba Walker was one of those players, and Klay Thompson was not.
It's
hard to believe.
It is kind of hard to believe, but you know what? Probably at this point, Klay Thompson, he's probably just like, whatever, it doesn't even matter. He's, honestly, he's getting ready to play for another title, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, it did hurt him money-wise, too. If he stays with the Warriors...
And he'll possibly get a maximum contract.
He cannot get a 221 or 228 million.
I think it's 221. He would only get 191.
Right, since he did not make that All-NBA team.
Yeah,
that's part of the things they were talking about on ESPN. Since he didn't make that All-NBA team 1, 2, or 3, then he is not eligible with the Warriors. Now, if he would go somewhere else, he can get 200 and something. Yes. But if he stays with the Warriors, but you know what? They were talking about money issues with the Warriors. That may have helped them because it's a little bit less money they'll have to pay him, and I think he'll stick around for 191 million because they asked him, "What motivates you to keep going when you know you get snubbed from something like that?" And he goes, "Rings, man, championships." So all he cares about is championships. He'll get paid. He'll get 191 million plus great endorsement deals. You'll see him on some new commercials.
Yeah, probably.
And he'll go for more rings.
Honestly, $191 million. Honestly, who in their right mind's going to turn down 191 million?
Right, he would like 221 million. Don't get me wrong, but what he's already made and what he could make, and plus, look at it this way, guys: endorsement deals. It's real. Your contract's important, but you can make a lot of money nowadays off commercials and signing with companies. He can make up that 220. Make up to that difference.
He can make up that additional $30 million difference, so it's not going to matter.
No. So let's go into how many games will it be. I think I'm going to take the Warriors. I'm going to take it to 7. I think it goes 7. No, I'm going to rephrase it. I think it goes 6. I'm going to take the Warriors in 6.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Possibly 6.
Let's go Warriors in 6.
Warriors 6. Possibly winning Game 6 in Oakland.
If the Warriors sweep the first 2 or 3 games, especially since they're on the road for the first 2, do you think the team's not worried then that much about bringing Durant and them back?
Well, you know what? Honestly, probably not.
Boogie wants to play though.
Yeah, I figure he wants. He wants to play because he wants to feel like
he actually contributed.
To helping the team win the title.
They said he's really working hard to get back, and actually the timetable is not cooperating with him, but he's beyond his timetable, so it looks like he could play.
Yeah, he
and that's a Kentucky boy.
May not be able He may not be available for game 1, but both he and Durant probably won't be available for game 1. They may be available for game 2 or 3. Just have to wait and see. Game 1. Yes, by the way, game 1 is Thursday night.
Another guy we have to mention because he's a Kentucky boy, Jody Meeks, playing in NBA Finals. I don't know if this is his first finals because he could have been sitting on the bench for somebody else and we didn't realize it. But
wait a minute, that's right, I forgot.
Jody Meeks is playing.
He's with Toronto.
Yeah, Jody Meeks has got a shot at a title as well.
Okay.
I wish Jody was on Golden State with Cousins. That'd be great. But speaking of that, will this be out of every player that Kentucky has sent to the NBA draft or NBA and they played in the NBA? And I don't care if they were a starter or not, because I don't think there's been any Kentucky guy that's been a starter on a team and won it. Well, for John Calipari, not Tayshaun Prince, or I'm talking about John Calipari era here. Has there been a guy sat on a bench, really from the Calipari era, sat on a bench or started, which I know it's not started, but sat on a bench and won an NBA championship yet? And if not, DeMarcus would be the first chance for Cal.
No.
So DeMarcus is going to be the first guy to get a ring.
Either it could be DeMarcus or Jody.
No, Jody doesn't count.
You know what?
Only in Calipari coaching era. Jody left before Cal.
Yeah.
The same thing with Patrick Patterson. He wasn't recruited by.
If you're talking about the Cal era, yes, DeMarcus would be the first.
He could really hang out over the head of the rest of them, can't he?
He could, but he's probably like, you know what?
He'll joke with them.
Let's not be that petty. It's not gonna be that.
But it was an interesting thing I was thinking about. You know what? Because I just never realized how many of our players have been on a championship team yet. And it's interesting to go back, look at the top 3 or 4 from each draft since these last 10 years, and see how many of them have actually won a championship too. Not Kentucky only. The whole top 4 guys from the last 10 years draft, and see where they're at, and see if they've won any titles. It's going to be crazy. Out let's say the top 4 from every one of them.
That's something we can bring up next.
That's something we'll bring up. We'll do some research on that. It's interesting to see if Cousins is like the only one out of the top 10 or so in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we'll bring that up. I said, anyway, guys, game 1 of the NBA Finals is Thursday night, 8 o'clock ABC.
NBA draft.
All right, let's move on. Next, moving on, since we're speaking of the draft, we'll segue into the 2019 NBA draft, which takes place on June 20th.
That's right around somewhat of a corner.
Yeah.
Not too far away.
No, I got 3.5 weeks. Well, probably most know by now, probably know the top, 3, like the top 3 picks, in the NBA draft. I said more than likely they're probably going to go in order, with Zion Williamson at 1, from Duke, possibly Ja Morant at 2, and RJ Barrett at 3.
And if you had to take your pick out of those 3, who would you like? I would take, honestly, I don't know, man. Zion's a pretty good sized guy. Well, I think he's going to have a rude awakening in the NBA. I don't think it's going to be as good as he thinks.
Obviously he's going to realize that playing in the NBA is entirely different, than playing in college
or in high school.
I said, it's going to be interesting. Because it's not often that you see a 6'7", 280-something pound guy. Coming to the league, coming to the league that often, especially one that that moves as fast as he does.
Right.
It's not often that you see that. Okay. Now we have the the possible draft board. This is according to CBS Sports. Okay, the top 10 we have Zion Williamson at 1, Ja Morant 2, RJ Barrett 3, Darius Garland 4, DeAndre Hunter at 5, Jackson Hayes at 6, Kobe White at 7, Bol at 8, Jarrett Culver at 9, and I think it's Sekou Doumbouya, France at number 10.
And then Cam Reddish, Duke at 11.
Brandon Clark.
He's sitting at 12 from Gonzaga.
Other notable names, from this year, have.
Well, if if we're looking at our team, PJ Washington looks like he's projected to be 14, which is still lottery. I believe so. I think top 14 is lottery, I think. And then Keldon Johnson is 21, and Tyler Hero 22.
And you have others, from several other teams. Let's say North Carolina has a bunch of picks. Tennessee has a bunch. Gonzaga has a bunch.
Just to look, guys. I just want to just say some other stuff here. I'm going through the whole list here. It takes CBS actually got a pretty good thing here showing you what the top 130 people. And I'm going to skim through real quick one more time. Hell, Juwan Morgan from Indiana is 113th.
It's probably like some play. Okay, well here's one that's kind of intriguing to me. Okay, Kyle Guy of Virginia. He's sitting at 83rd.
Yep, 83rd.
And Kyle Guy, I said he pulled off some big shots, to help Virginia win the title.
That probably helped him out a lot.
Okay, it's probably another one's kind of okay. Dedrick Lawson of Kansas at 48.
48. And I went up and down this thing twice, kind of, guys. And here because it's going to segue right in. We're still with the draft, but here's the thing. There's draft. What do you call this? Draft rankings. There's experts, and some of these guys are hearing from those experts at these combines and these practices and these tryout things they're going to, so they're getting information. Now, I know little of us don't matter because we're just two guys sitting on the couch talking about sports. But there's family members and friends and everything that talk to these guys and tell them, well, ignore what these draft rankings are saying. Ignore what all these other experts are telling you, not us, but actual experts in the NBA. These scouts, ignore what they're saying and keep your name in the draft and go. And all I'm going to say is there were some other people on that list that belong to some team or some teams, whatever you want to say, because I don't want to single anybody out. But dang good and well, I didn't see your name all the way down to like 130 or 150 people. So if your name's not on this list, which was put out like 2 days ago, and Juwan Morgan from IU's on that list at 113th. Good for you, Juwan Morgan. No, good for you, Juwan Morgan. He made the list. If your name's not on that list, like if you were Juwan Morgan, you got a case. You're 113th. You've proved to somebody to make the top 150. If your name ain't on that list, you don't need to be in the draft.
Well, let's say this. It's proven, that he, he had, to me, let's say if they're on this list, I see, yeah.
They kind of got
they got draft potential.
That's right.
Now, of course, with the rule change with the NBA draft this year is that players that can enter the draft, they can get some feedback from NBA general managers and executives and everything else, and if they can opt to either stay in the draft or they can withdraw and return to their respective schools for another year. Of course, the absolute deadline to withdraw for players to withdraw from the draft is coming Wednesday, the 29th.
I'm just saying, just don't drag it along. And go look at the boards. Your name ain't on there. Maybe you should really think about coming back, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah. Honestly, that sounds good. Because in the past, there have been some players that waited the absolute last minute to make their decisions. Which, is probably, as I said, I'm not necessarily going to put a lot of energy into that, until it actually happens.
Right.
I say, I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a, recruiter, an analyst or nothing like that.
Right. We're just two guys talking about sports on the couch.
We just two average dudes. So you know what? If what happens. Okay.
But it is kind of, and I think you would agree with this. It's kind of common sense though. Right? You don't have to have a driver's license to know that a stop sign means stop, right? And you don't have to be an NBA scout or analyst to know when a dude's name 2 days before the deadline is not on a dang 150 list. That means you're 151 or worse. And so it's common sense that you're not going to get drafted. You're probably not going to get drafted in the second round at all either. And you're going to be probably on the cusp of maybe G League and more than likely over in Spain or Europe or wherever.
Well, I mean, if...
at the Reeboks tour down the street.
Well, I mean, if they end up in the G League or something like that, you know what? I'm not going to wish ill will.
But no, not wishing ill will. But think about that, Jay. They play in the G League. Let's say they don't end up making team. They go over Europe, blow out their knee, never get to anything else, and they never get any guaranteed money, and they're done. Right? And everybody says blow out their knee. Well, there's a lot of surgeries now that can help you. Blah, blah. And I'm just saying, let's say the worst case scenario. Can't play no more. So now they cut themselves out of guaranteed money, no endorsement deals, no nothing. Now, let's say they go back to their respective college one more year, and they shine. I mean, they shine way better than they ever got to shine before. And they prove all their haters at their school wrong. All their haters at the school that's saying they suck or whatever. They prove them wrong, and then they go out there and ball. And guess what? The next year, they're either a second round or they're a top 20 pick. Or, wow, they made the lottery.
Or possibly, top 10. So,
right.
I mean, so, honestly, to me, the whole rule change, with...
It helped, but it made it worse, I think.
Probably in some cases it helped. Maybe in some cases worse. But
let's
see. But in general, I'm thinking okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Like I said, whatever happens, happens.
Happens for a reason.
Yeah,
it
happens for a reason. Just deal with it.
Speaking of letting it happen for a reason, today was a big, very important race in Indianapolis. The Indianapolis 500. Who won the race?
Yes. Simon Pitt.
We had it.
Oh God! Simon Pagano. Oh God!
It's really. Yeah, there it is.
Simon Pagano. I think this
Pagnajowi.
I think that's how
Listen, it's not that hard to not. We heard it and we had it. We pulled it up.
No. Pagano. Simon Pagano.
Good. Simon, and I watched the race, the last 20 laps. I didn't really watch the whole race. There's nothing wrong with IndyCar race, Indy circuit racing. I like it. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, but he had the lead with 3 laps to go, and then he got passed by, I think it was like Boris or something like that. But then that guy had the lead, and I think Simon here, I'm not going to say his last name, passed up like about almost slightly before the last lap, passed him up and got the lead and won the Indy 500. So that's great for him. Very good race. And, can't say the whole race was great. I can tell you the last 20 laps was great. So I'm going to start watching some more NASCAR and Indy. I don't know. I'll watch more of it. So we're going to go into our last segment. We're going to try to keep these videos shorter. Last few has been 30, 40 minutes, and we're only about 22. So we might end this about 25. This is just a wrestling thing. Guys are familiar with sports entertainment, WWE wrestling. Mm-hmm. There's a new wrestling company. It's been around for a little bit, but it's starting to really pick up a lot of steam now, called AEW. They had a pay-per-view event last night called Double or Nothing. John Moxley, also known as Dean Ambrose from WWE, came in, and he didn't interfere in a match. He came in after a match was over between Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and he gave what they call dirty deeds, or the deeds, or whatever they're going to call it now at AEW, which is basically a DDT. And he DDT'd Chris Jericho, and then him and Kenny went at it a little bit. And they went on these giant, how they have props? There's this big giant props of poker chips. And John Moxley, or Dean Ambrose, got up there and did the dirty deeds to him on the big poker chips, which I thought was pretty cool. And then he did a fireman's carry toss over the side and into the bottom of a stage area where Kenny Omega fell. And it kind of crushed through. So it was pretty good. These guys are getting a TNT contract on TV. We do not know when. When they say, Jay?
Well, it said it would debut on TNT, possibly later this year. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
but we don't know what month.
They have more events planned. Let's say, like last night was the first
one of their big pay-per-views.
One of the 3 pay-per-view events. I said they got another one coming up on June 29th. In Daytona Beach, and then the other one's July 13th in Jacksonville. And
I tell you what, guys, their roster, you've got Cody Rhodes.
You have a lot of former WWE stars.
Yeah, that have just come over. We're talking about John Moxley, which is also Dean Ambrose. You're talking about Chris Jericho.
Yes.
You're talking about Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes had a match last night with his brother, Dustin Rhodes, and you guys may know him as Goldust, but he came over and wrestled his brother for basically a farewell goodbye match because Dustin Rhodes is 50 years old, so it's pretty well over. And of course, their father Dusty Rhodes died, I think 3 years ago or so, and the American Dream, you know. So if you're familiar with wrestling, you know all these sayings, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, Jay's right. I mean, they're getting some people over there. They do have some women wrestlers. If you're, I'm not familiar with all their people though. I can tell you guys this: I watched some parts of that pay-per-view last night. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. The fact they're getting a TV contract and they got some of these other people that are coming over from WWE and left WWE. That's a big name. Like Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho. Those are names everyone knows. Everybody knows like Chris Jericho, even if you're not a wrestling fan.
Yeah, that's it. Of course they know Chris Jericho.
So just keep that in mind as it goes. But that's all our topics, and that's right at 26 minutes. So we're going to cut it before it gets to 30.
Yeah, you know, you guys, we'll keep it short.
Yeah. So, guys, don't forget that the rest of this week we'll try to be back after we'll wait till like game 3 or 4 of the playoffs, and then we'll come back and talk about what's going on. Mm-hmm. That's what we'll do. Because I don't want to do it too soon. Let's let the first 2 or 3 games go by, and maybe the game 4 night we'll do a video. How about that?
No, maybe we can't. I said maybe we can.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
That way we get a taste and sample of how the finals are going. That way we have a lot to talk about it. So
hopefully it won't be a sweep, which it probably won't be.
So game 4 would be what day? Do we have any idea?
Game 4, if I'm right, would be next Thursday. If I'm right, I believe it would be June 6th. Okay, because game 1 is this Thursday. Game 2 is Sunday. I believe game 3 would be next Tuesday, June the 4th. Mm-hmm. And then game 4 would possibly be on the 6th.
Okay, so maybe
I believe that's how it goes.
So somewhere between the 5th and 8th or something, we'll be.
Yeah, there's possibly like the first full week of June.
We'll make another video. So and we'll talk about the playoffs and some more stuff. And the NBA draft won't be just yet, but it will be getting closer. And we'll also know about those guys on their college decision. So, all right, guys, that's all we have. And I didn't say your name. That's all we have. We're not going to go into that. That's all we have for tonight, guys. Have a happy Memorial Day. Don't forget to like,
subscribe,
comment,
share.
And we'll be back soon, guys, with another sports talk with Local John and
J-Rod.
All right, guys. Peace.
See you later.